Hello everyone. Uh, I hope everyone can hear me. I had a little technical difficulties to set up the stream. There was this button that I had to press. Okay, everything is working. Or is it working? Let me check. Is it working? Yeah, okay, it's working. So, welcome. Uh, First, I'm gonna start the stream by showing some technical slides. I showed them before, but I want to show them again and show one extra slide. So I will go quickly through this technical slide. Basically, it's important because the game is online game, and it's important to show that there's expertise to deliver this kind of game with this kind of tech. So when the players begin playing the game, they first have to, of course, install the game from Steam. Basically, it's going to be a paid game, probably no microtransactions. Of course, no microtransactions. What I meant is no subscriptions. And then you just download the game, and play it. The login system will be done through the Steam backend, so you don't really need to log in anywhere. And then there's this web of different servers that handle the authentication and delivering traffic somewhere. But the key takeaway from this slide is that people also can play in private servers with their friends if they don't want to play with other people. There's possibility for that, but I think that is gonna be maybe some kind of paid service, kind of like in Minecraft realm. So we will see about that. But the next slide is more interesting because it's like explores how pixel piracy can hold so many players. Like can you back up this claim? And so this is like what I want to talk about first, and then we go play the game, and I will start the server. Okay. So you can see on this slide that there's like different green tiles. Those are like, for example, islands. And then blue tiles are like ocean or sea, where you and your friends can sail with the ship. Green tiles can also have water, so it could be like port town or something. And these tiles, they're on like 2K x 1K in size, so they are pretty big. And each of these zones can hold for about like 40 to 80 players. And if you like multiply how many zones there will be, it's easy to understand then where this number is coming from. This of course means that there's this technical challenge that is going to be prevailing through the project, because as for example, if there's programmers in the stream, nested loops, for example, because as you're like one player and there's another players around, you will have to replicate data for everyone, and other players also have to replicate data. So the more players on the screen, the more data has to move. So one of the improvement fields will be to work on the replication algorithm and to send as little data as possible while still replicating the most important things for the players. This also can mean, for example, dynamic tick scales. I don't know how many of you played EVE Online, but for example, EVE Online is one big persistent universe, kind of like what Pixel Piracy Online will be. And the way they handle, for example, these kind of big zones is that they dilute time scales. So basically, the more players there is, the slower server is. Of course, this game is platform. We probably can't do that. But I just want to show that there will be some kind of technical challenges. Then of course, for example, this might force players to scatter around different islands, to discover new lands. And I think it will naturally balance itself out. Then one of the other questions was that I wanted kind of to address is how ships will pass, like because it's like 2D playing. Like if you have online world with different players, how all the ships will, sail. Are they gonna collide with each other and then everybody gonna die? No, no, no. Pixel Piracy Online has this depth. It's like 1.5 dimension or like 3D. There's like hyperlanes. Basically, sea tiles are placed on back of each other, and then you as a ship captain can move, like, you can, like, your ship can jump on other lane to avoid other ships. And for example, ships could have stamina, or like when other ship is shooting cannon at your ship can avoid the cannon, by jumping on other lane. So there's that. Also, the maps are developed in this tiled D tool. I'm not sure if it's open source, but it's a free tool, and eventually when proposal system will be up, anyone in Pixel Piracy community will be able to propose that the map that they made could be included in the game. So for example, because the world is going to be huge, and there's not much random generation. I don't think there's gonna be, because I think I want that, there's gonna be this charm, this like locations, like place that it's still going to be kind of the same. So the player, maps that they make, they will remain there as they were. Of course, game will feature, map building. So certain locations on the map will have, this kind of like nodes that if your clan or guild or pirate crew captures, you can build your little town there, for example. Because one of the big things for the Pixel Piracy Online will be is that you will have ability to raid other towns. This will be something like in Ragnarok Online, where you had this like War of Imperium, like every Friday or Sunday at 8 o'clock. For 1 hour, enemies could attack other castles or towns and capture them. Those who then retained those castles or bases could get rewards. For example, some kind of treasure chest that had some cool loot. So there's gonna be that. But okay, enough of technical slides. Let me start the server up, and then I will connect. All right. Right. Server is now starting up. I'm gonna remove the text slide, and then I'm gonna start the game client. Okay, it's here. All right. Sound. This main menu music is made by Simon Dome. He's from Germany, and I think this track captures very well the essence of the Pixel Piracy Online and Pixel Piracy. You can see on the background there's Pixel Piracy original logo, and it's kind of like a little bit of a nod that old thing passes and new take over. All right, it's time then to connect to the server. Let's see. Yeah, so I will show again, like this is like your basic MMO thing. There's pretty much nothing special here. You have character selection, you select the slot, and then you can delete or create a new character. Okay, I hope it's better now. Sorry about that. I also have new mic, so yeah, so this is like basic character editor really. like you have here different stats, you know, that you can assign to your character. One thing, art is not final, it's work in the progress, and there's gonna be a proposal system where different pixel artists can contribute to the project. This is because, like I said multiple times, the intent is to work on the technology first, because, you know, when you have technology like ready, it's very easy to, you know, assign different graphics to the game. Like, I mean, you all know, like, day before they had these beautiful trailers, but then, you know, when the game launched, it was like a pure dog shit. So, you know, uh, don't worry about like art style of the game. This is like my art, but the final art is going to be made by community members, for example. It's one of the reasons why the project is like structured through this kind of revenue share model, is that it has this kind of open source element, but there's this one guy admin who is trying to keep everything together. But eventually, like, almost everything is going to be community kind of made. Alright, yeah, so here you have like different possibilities for creating this is funny character, and you can have like different skin color, but I have here my character already made, so we're gonna just do that. One of the reasons why the project is like structured through this kind of Alright, well, you've seen the GIFs or, you know, screenshots, but basically from the previous version of the game, what I did is that I worked on the user interface systems, basically like making the form system, so that, you know, when I'm making user interfaces, it's like very easy. And here you have like different stats for the character. It's pretty basic, and, you know, there's different equip slots. Like, for example, I have here sword. I can like drag it there, you know, and it will be equipped. I also can remove it. Then, yeah, I haven't done like all icons for the game, but here, for example, you have like torch, like it's a tool. Then maybe two-handed sword, and then, for example, like I also added that like different weapon has different attack pattern. For example, the two-handed sword, it's like, but sword, for example, is like a thirst or like a dagger. Like you can see, it's like this. And then when you press E button, interact button, you pick up the item, and it syncs and it's added to the inventory. Then also when you like press enter button, the chat bubble appears, that you can see. Like, for example, if you're like with other people, they will see your chat bubble. Then I got level up, so I have like 4 points that I can put. For example, if I put points into strength, I'm gonna be more powerful. Currently, strength is like the only one that is like implemented, like it has logic. And you can see now I take like hit for 6 damage. I also added few commands so that you can generate some items. Also, icons still not added. For example, earrings, like you can see I have green earrings. Maybe they could give you some intelligence. Then yellow necklace, you can see here, like I could be like this kind of jungle guy. And some kind of hat. Again, this is programmer art, so when proposal system is going to be up, people will have opportunity to contribute their own pixel art, and then if people like vote that this art is good, you know, it will be implemented. There's like all slots. Then there's backpack. The idea with backpack is that you have backpack, so you will have more inventory space. I'm just gonna make it day. Alright. Then you have like leather boots or boots. So if there's like pixel artists in this stream, or you're gonna be watching this at some point, you could probably have a lot of fun like creating like different styles or like clothes. Then there's like shoulder pads, leather vest or vest, and a belt. Then also for the stress test, for example, I can for example spawn different monsters. And these all monsters are like replicated through the network. So and I can attack them. Also, I also improved a little bit of those combat effects, and when you attack, there's like a better feedback loop. But I think generally it's user interface that I added. It took a lot of time, but now, you know, when it's ready, I can like make different user interfaces. Some of the functionality is new for the, if we compare this to the Pixel Piracy single player game. For example, Gemboard and Resistance user interface. Skills is pretty straightforward. You have different skills in Pixel Piracy, but here you will have also like skills. But those skills will go way beyond than they were in Pixel Piracy. For example, if you want to like cut wood, you will need some kind of wood cutting skill. Why would you need wood? Well, for example, if you want to build your town or ship, because, you know, shipbuilding will be block based. So you will need to have some kind of mechanism to gather resources, and, you know, skill system, and these different resources through the game will function as means of getting building your own ship. Gemboard then is the idea. This is like experimental idea. I'm not sure if it's gonna be remaining like that, but the idea here is that when you level up, you obtain new gem slot, and then, you know, if there's a player who found gems, he could sell them for you. These gems, for example, could increase your stats or improve some existing skill. When I talk about gems, I talk about like pearls, like you can find underwater. So there's a lot of different possibilities what you could do with those gems, and it will be kind of like, you know, this little bit of progression is that when you level up, you get some attribute points that you can set. Maybe you could get some new equipment, and you get a new gem board slot that you can, you know, occupy with some gem. Then there's also resistance user interface. The idea with the user resistance page is that in this game monsters and weapons will have different parameters, like elementary parameters. Like your basic dagger, it's a neutral attack, so it deals neutral damage. But for example, if you have some kind of gem or pearl that gives you protection against that you can slot it in this slot. also a little bit back for the backpacks. Currently, because this is like a test, the base capacity is 38, but you know, when the game is going to be ready, it could be like 10, and then you need different backpacks or backpacks to carry more items. For example, if you're like cutting different trees and then gathering resources, you would need some kind of space to carry your resources. So there's that. Then about the crew members, because if you remember in Pixel Piracy you had crew members and they were AI. This is online world. And yes, in this game you will have AI companions. They will follow you. There's gonna be probably UI here. Real players are gonna be here because there's like a party system and friend system that will be added. For example, and you can like add your friends to the party. Like for example, you and like maybe I don't know 3 of your friends, and then you and your friends have NPCs. So I'm kind of thinking like maybe in Pokemon that you can have like beyond yourself have 5 different NPC characters that follow you. But we will see about that. And one thing is that those NPC characters, they will be genies and they will be in bottles. And it's gonna be like this kind of quest on finding, you know, your crew members. Like initially it's going to be only you, but then as the game progresses, you find these crew members, these genies that you have to capture in a bottles, and then you know you can summon them and they will help you. Of course, if they die in a combat, they will return to the bottle, but to resurrect them is going to be a very costly operation, because in Pixel Piracy, also because many people kind of liked this roguelike element in Pixel Piracy, is that has to be somewhat punishing. So this would be some kind of like a compromise. I don't think it's a good idea in like MMO world where there's like levels to lose your progress. So there's not going to be like permadeath. Maybe like, you know, hardcore servers with permadeath. I think that's very easy to do and acceptable. Maybe that's going to be something like. So there's that. Of course. Yeah, but I think it's pretty much like this. Currently I'm planning on working on the ship system, but I'm currently like trying to decide if I should do like resource gathering, town building, or actually do the most piratey thing that there could be, the pirate ship, the shipbuilding system. So that's gonna be something that I'm gonna like thinking about, if I should do it first or do it that. Because you know, especially for an MMO game or like a game like with a lot of systems, one thing can lead to another. Okay, I added like user interface, but now I have like these stats and they also have to be implemented, you know. And then like all these like items, for example, like if I'm hovering over the dagger, I want to know like what is the attack like of this weapon. So I need also like implement some kind of like attribute system, like you can see. So it's constant priorities, like what to do next. And currently I'm like trying to focus on the big things, because small things are like very easy to do, and sometimes, you know, you can just like try to perfect them, and perfection is like poison. You don't want to try to perfect something, it's already implemented by the design. So you just have to move on the next task, and the next task is like the big next task is the shipbuilding. Alright, let me check. Yeah. Alright. So and then you know, you can drop the items and you know they drop. I also added some new animations. Like let me search for the campfire. Again, work into progress. Art is not final. There's I'm not focusing on the art. I'm focusing on the technology first. It's the most important thing. And when you press insert, your character kind of like sits. And you know, like you have those cats that they have like those very soft things, pillows, or you know, little homes, and it's pretty much like here. And here we could like you know sit, maybe drink some rum with your friends, for example. So it will be very funny or cool. In previous stream I also showed portals. Basically, if you remember the slide from the technical slide, is that when you, like for example, we're on this map, this is like different server, physical CPU core, and now we're going to travel to different server, you know, so it's kind of like connecting to different server, and now we're on desert biome, and you can see like, and it also has like you know this different gradients, parallax, like 3D parallax. Yeah, yeah. You know, actually, interesting story. I'm not sure if I ever told you, but somebody like asked me like how I came up with the pixel piracy idea, and I came up with the idea in the shower. Yeah, I was a student, and I was living in this very small flat. I think it was like one room only, and I was in a shower, and then I was thinking, I have this Unity installed. What should I do? And I was like, I remember I watched Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do some kind of pirate game, and that's how I think Pixel Piracy got started. Just like a side note. Also, maybe one other thing is that uh, you all remember Pixel Piracy soundtrack, composed by Cole Hicks. But I'm not sure if many of you know that Cole Hicks is currently working for Riot Games. Yeah, the Riot Games, makers of League of Legends. He's actually composer there now. At least he was like when I last time checked. Can you imagine that? Like this guy composed music for Pixel Piracy and Pixel Privateers, and now he's composing music for League of Legends. What a legend. Yeah, yeah, it was very, yeah. I had like this leather sofa, middle of the room. It's like, it was crazy. Yeah, but I mean, come on, everybody has to start from somewhere, uh, like origin story, and I think that's fine and actually amazing if you think about like a journey, what a person can do. Everybody is nobody at some point, and then you know they write their own story, and they have these ups and downs, and hopefully you know they get to where they want to be. But yeah, uh, this is like desert biome. I showed it in previous stream. Uh, what's interesting is that because I'm using tiled, and the way the game works is that I can easily swap a biome like theme. For example, this could be jungle biome with like one press of a button, and you know each biome has like different settings. You can imagine like you're some kind of Arabian pirate trying to like mine for resources for stone so that you can build stone walls for your town, or you know stone table for your tavern, and then you're here somewhere in Arabia for no reason mining for rocks. Or you know, you could even like, for example, build your some kind of small pirate hideout here in this cave, like middle in some desert, and then you know, for example, at some point when there's this event where you have to capture like enemy bases, as I was talking in the beginning of the stream, you could be all hiding here and nobody would know where you guys are coming from, and you're like have different chests here, crafting tables, and then you know, kitchen or something, eating, and then you know when war begins you all like embark on a great journey to your ship. Ship itself would be in inventory, because like I previously said, because you know, or actually I didn't say that, but I will say it now. Because you know, it's a side scroller, you know, you can't escape that. Like this is 2D game side scroller. What happens if you enter island here, but then you exit island here? Like your ship is still there. So this will be kind of like is that you can pack your ship, or you know, you can store it at the port or deck or some kind of NPC. Like you know, in Pixel Piracy there was this deck master. So something similar could work, where you can like you know summon your ship, so that it doesn't really matter that much where it would be. Let's go back to the jungle. And then I will, you know, if you have more questions, I could answer them. But I think it was pretty much that. I mean, it's really only the user interface that's like been the biggest thing for this development cycle. And I can spawn like a lot of different monsters here, and they're all like replicated on the server. And it's pretty stable. And when you're playing the game, it feels like a single player, even if it's online. This is because the game, you know, has like multiple different ways of handling the input of player. Player is trying to predict, like for example, if I'm hitting the control button now, it does attack on the client. Okay, here's the camera, yeah. It does the attack on the client, and then at the same time it sends package to the server, and then you know server, you know, also then performs attack animation and decides if attack happened or not. And sometimes, you know, when it also collects frames, like for example, you're like walking, right? You're walking and it collects frames, like your actions that you did. And then it tries to verify them, that there is like, if there's no like deviations, you can trust this player a little bit to improve gameplay experience. Because platformers are like, you need to have very good response time for the player. The reason for that is that ledges, for example, ledges, like here is the ledge. Say you're having a lag, the game is lagging or something for reason unknown, maybe it's your internet, it's bad, and server thinks that you're like, you have fallen, but you're not. So there's a lot of like, you know, prediction and calculations going on to decide like where you should be actually. A small like info bit there. Yeah, and here you have these different bot slimes. And you can see when I'm writing, the response is instant. And I can spawn more monsters. can see we have monsters here, we have monsters there, we have monsters everywhere. Again, art is not final. It's going to be different. Also, when we go in a cave, look what happens when we go down. We're like in darkness now. But then when we go up, it becomes day again. You could imagine when you're in a house and the door is closed, you can't see outside, and the player who's outside can't see inside. And then, you know, the door, he can bang the door by pressing E button. Right now, for example, if you press E button, it picks up. When, for example, he would press E button near the door, he would knock. And then you or, you know, people at the tavern are like, huh, who's knocking the door? Let's open the door for the person. And then, you know, it could be gang of different, you know, raiders, or if it's, you know, if it's a town with a guard tower, you know, it could be like a guard. And again, the most of the towns will be built by the players. The maps will have different zones where you can build. It's not like the whole map will be available for building, because, you know, it would probably break immersion. Like, for example, you could make, you know, sky bridges, like cock towers or something. We don't want that. So there will be certain locations that you can take for yourself. And because the maps are huge, everybody will have space. And traveling will take some time. So you will have to take resources with you. It could be water, you know, rum. And of course, to get, like, for example, fresh water, you also have to farm it. Maybe, you know, when it's raining, you have some mechanism that collects the raindrops. And then you can sell water to other people. And so on. So there's also going to be effort to make gameplay non-action packed for those people who don't like combat, so that they can, you know, contribute to the game by just selling those resources. But yeah, if you guys have some questions, I could answer them. If not, I think, you know, we could wrap this up and maybe see in a 1 month again with some new stuff. I'm gonna wait a little bit because the chat is delayed. Usually on these streams, like, I don't know, 20 seconds maybe. Cranberry juice, it's very good. What did I say? Not, I think, you know, we could wrap this up and maybe see in a 1 month again with some new stuff. I'm gonna wait a little bit because the chat is delayed. Usually on these streams, like, I don't know, 20 seconds maybe. Cranberry juice, it's very good. Yeah, time commitment for, like, perfection is like enemy. Like, you can try to perfect as long, like, for a very long time, but it has then, you know, those diminishing returns. Like it doesn't matter how hard, for example, you try to make a game, like, if it's like super good, because if the person is playing first person shooters, it doesn't really matter how hard you try. And at some point, you know, it's just not cost effective in trying to perfect something. I guess I will wish you all a happy new year in advance, and I hope that dreams or things that you pursue in your life, they will happen. Then health to your family, and we will see next time. Sometimes I'm repeating myself a lot. But anyway, guys, this was it. Okay, cheers.